You're not bad at languages, you just never had a roadmap. Many people feel disappointed when they start learning a new language without a structure and see no result. They learn, they memorize new words, but nothing seems to stick. In this video, you will finally find out how to reach real results and actually enjoy the process. Be attentive because during the whole video, you will hear 3 secret words that you will be able to use in our bot. Just write down a secret word and get useful materials for starting your Russian journey. Maybe you've already started learning Russian and know some phrases and understand a bit, but when it's time to speak, you freeze. Or maybe you've restarted learning Russian again and again. Why does this happen? Because learning Russian is not about random words. This is about the system that today you will find out. But before we go to methods, let's discuss why you need Russian. For love, for travel, for career growth, maybe for talking to your partner's family. Your why matters because it helps you with motivation and you keep going without any doubt. The knowledge of Russian gives you independence, especially if you travel to Russian-speaking countries, confidence if you talk to your Russian friends, partner, or maybe loved ones, real communication, you start to understand Russian speakers better, you get kind of mentality of theirs, and everything becomes easier, and of course career opportunities if you go to Russia for work or studies. And the first question that you can have in your mind, how can I start? And many people start with apps. If you think that it is the right way, you are not alone. Many people start learning Russian with apps, for example, like Duolingo. But they keep learning for months, for years, and still can't speak. Why? Because apps give you just random vocabulary, sometimes so rare one that you will never use. Disconnected exercises, they don't have any structure, any connection, and during the learning process it is really important to have connections with certain tasks that you covered before. This is what we actually do in my Russian Camp online course. Everything is really connected and you review all materials again and again. No speaking system. You don't speak. Maybe you try to pronounce certain words, but that's it. And of course, no progression logic. Apps are nice, but for another goal, for another purpose, for practicing. Because once you learn, you get passive knowledge. But to start to speak, you need active ones. And to get a list of my favorite language exchange apps, send the word apps in our bot and get my top 5 apps that I used personally myself when I learned English. And this is what my students do when they start their Russian journey. Because from the very beginning, from the very first class, you can make new friends, you can meet Russian speakers and practice, practice, and practice. This is the structure of the Russian language. It can look overwhelming. We have cases, we have conjugation, different endings. For example, we have 3 genders, masculine, feminine, and neuter. And many people don't understand why a pen, ruchka, in Russian, it is feminine, so it is she. And when you talk, for example, about a table, stol, it is he. Yeah, for English-speaking people, for example, it is not understandable at all. How can it be? It's not a man or a woman. Or, for example, to make a question, you just need your intonation. We don't have any auxiliary verbs. You just need to change your intonation slightly, and it will be a kind of question. So the main misunderstanding is that to start speaking Russian, you don't need to learn everything. You just need the right order. And Russian becomes clear when you see the structure of the language, but don't just learn random words from reels or from some kind of apps. When you have a structure, everything becomes super easy. And in today's video, I'm gonna be sharing with you how I would learn Russian if I had to start from zero, my expert's teacher's view. And the first thing that we should do is not to learn the alphabet as some people think, because it doesn't motivate you at all. You just start with letters and you can't speak, you can't try this language, you can't feel it. And to do so, you need to start with survival vocabulary. The basic words that maybe you already know or maybe you will cover very, very soon. Because if you send survive, a word survive in our bot, you will be able to get a list of survival words with all necessary transcription and the way how to pronounce it, so you can easily learn them without the knowledge of the alphabet. The words like thank you, hi, nice to meet you, bye, may I have this is. Without these words, you can't start learning Russian. And on the slide, you can see 10 of them. Also, I do recommend during this journey, during this watching this video, please make notes, because if you're already familiar with the Russian language, you can get lots of useful content. After learning survival vocabulary, we can start with alphabets and sounds. Here you can see two ways of writing the alphabet. The kind of cursive and the basic one that we use when we type messages. If you're going to study in Russia, I definitely recommend you to use both. Because in Russian universities, for example, we use the second one, the cursive one. And many students of mine who join the Russian Camp, our online course, they have the access to different bonuses, and one of them is our workbook, where you will be able to practice writing all these letters, print them out maybe, or use your tablet. So this is super convenient and useful. And here I would pay your attention to the sounds, because as we know, there are letters that give certain sounds. I do recommend to learn the alphabet and actual sounds, not the names of the letters, because we rarely use them, and to learn how to read, you need to know sounds, not the name of letters. After the alphabet, we go to pronouns. Of course, you cannot make up a sentence if you don't know basic pronouns. There are 7 of them, and here we learn them for I, you, we, they. I would also pay your attention to the fact that in the Russian language we pay a lot of attention to formalities. So in English, for example, we have you for people of higher position, for our friends, for a group of people, we just use one pronoun you. But in Russian, the things are completely different. So if you talk, for example, to your friend or to your relative, to a close person, you can use ты. But if you talk to a stranger, to an older person, a person of higher position, it is definitely better to use вы, so a completely different pronoun. In Russian Camp, we pay attention to the cultural notes a lot, because you cannot learn the language just like a code without the understanding of culture. That's why in our bonus section, that is actually included into every lesson, we upload useful short lectures on cultural notes, on mentality things, because if you'd love to start speaking Russian and sound fluently, sound like a native, you need to understand basic cultural things. So after pronouns, we can go to basic verbs. They're usually the verbs that we use in our daily routine, the ones that we can't live without, for example, how to say no, or how to say think, or speak. And after learning the verbs, you can go to tenses. In Russian, there are only 3 tenses. Here you can find a funny meme about English tenses and Russian ones. If you're a foreigner who doesn't speak English from the very childhood, so it's not your mother tongue, you can probably understand this joke about past simple, past continuous, past perfect, whatever. In Russian we don't have it, we just have 3 tenses and 2 ways how we can form future. And if you'd love to make up past tense, you just need to add certain letters. These are L, La or Li, depending on the gender, to a verb, to the infinitive, and cut off the ending. So it's super easy. You don't need to learn special forms, whatever. You just need to remember one letter that you add to the end, and the sentence becomes in the past. Why I sometimes recommend to start from the past tenses? Because from the experience, we usually talk more about the past things, the actions that we have already done. That's why sometimes we start with the past tense. If we talk about present tense, it's a bit more complicated, but still not so difficult, because here we talk about 2 types of verbs, the first type and the second type. And to learn them and to learn how to conjugate a verb, conjugation means just changing the endings of the verbs according to the pronoun that you use. For example, I know that there is conjugation in French, because you say j'aime, tu aimes, elle aime, and all this stuff. So the same we have in Russian, and you just need to remember 2 types. How can you know what type it is? You just need to look at the verb and see whether they has ye or e at the end. That's it. Learn the endings, practice. This is what you do from the very first class, practice in our Russian camp online course. So it's not that difficult as it can seem to be just before you start this learning journey. Future tense, to make up the future tense, all you need to know is how to conjugate a verb to be plus infinitive. So for example, if I want to say I will read, I will use a pronoun я, because it means I, я, буду, will, читать, I will read, я буду читать. Again, super simple, tenses are easy to cover. The next thing is more interesting. This is cases. Maybe you've heard of 6 cases that we have in the Russian language. Maybe you saw some memes or joke on the internet that in Russian we have thousands of ways how we can say I or you or whatever. Yes, we change the endings of pronouns, of adjectives, of nouns, depending on the situation. And as you can see on the slides, there are 6 cases that you need to cover. But good things is that the first case, nominative, you already know if you know basic forms of any nouns. For example, you know pizza or salad. These are basic nominative case forms. So you already have 5 cases to learn. And let's see how we usually learn them, because I definitely don't recommend just to buy a book about cases and learn all cases, because there are different situations when you can use specific cases, and it's better to learn cases in a certain situation. So you will have the logic, you will have the understanding in what situation to use a specific case. Let's get closer to this and I will give you more examples. For example, prepositional case. We usually talk about prepositional case when we start learning places in the city and transport. Because when you say, for example, go buy car, the word car will have a different ending because in this situation, we need to use prepositional case. Or when you talk about the location, where you are or where your friends are, where they live or whatever they do, you still use prepositional case. When you talk about accusative, we use it in daily routine with the topic in the shop or verbs of motion. So what you need to understand is that in your head you will have certain boxes. Each box will be connected to a certain case, and you will know exactly in which situation you need to use this very case. If you'd love to understand more how to use cases and get the whole list of cases with certain points to cover, please send the word cases in our bot to get the list of cases and situations when you can face them. But as I already said, this is important to not just know when to use it, but learn this case with specific vocabulary. And probably you can be puzzled, like why I can trust you, who you are, why I should listen to you but not to other people. So I'm a certified native teacher with 7 years of experience. I work both online on my online projects, Happy Russian School and Russian Camp. I give personal classes as well. You can find me on Instagram, and you probably found me on Instagram. And also, I'm a prof at St. Petersburg State University, and I help many foreigners from all over the world who come to Russia to get knowledge of Russian and start their perfect life here in my country. So you can definitely trust me, and more than 100 students already started speaking Russian with me.
Привет, меня зовут Райан, я программист, я из Америки. Настя, an incredible instructor. She's very talented and smart and knows how to help with learning and all that.
Твоей девушке нравится, что ты изучаешь русский?
Конечно, Ариша нравится, когда мы говорим по-русски.
Когда вы говорите?
Часто мы говорим по-русски в доме и иногда other places. Yeah, we try to do it as much as possible. We talk back and forth, and like it's kind of like a mix of English, Russian, kind of like sometimes я не знаю, and she'll like we'll go back and forth. At a certain point, I get there, and I don't really know how to say it, or like, and then I'll ask her, I'll be like, как сказать this or.
Меня зовут Эдер.
Ага, откуда ты?
Я из Бразилии.
А где ты сейчас живешь?
Я живу в Испании.
А кто ты по профессии?
Я программист.
Тебе нравится твоя работа?
Да, конечно. Но иногда это очень трудно. Но это нормально.
And here is our step-by-step program for 3 months. Because the question that you can have in your head, how can I plan this journey? So I know the steps, but where can I find the exercise? Will I have enough vocabulary? Will I have enough practice? I know that you can have lots of questions. That's why I created the Russian Camp that you've already heard about just a little bit during this video. This is a 3 months course for complete beginners that will change your vision of Russian and that will help you to start speaking from the very beginning due to my methods and techniques. So right now, let's imagine that you decided to join this camp, and what will be next? So after purchasing the course, you are added to the interactive platform with your own profile. You can see all lessons that you're going to cover. You can put even your picture, and it will be kind of social media for you. Then you learn through pre-recorded short lessons like this one, through podcasts that I created with my team, interactive tasks and episodes from real films and series. My main goal is not just to give you screenshots from the textbook. All materials that you can find in our course were created due to my huge experience, due to many books that we covered with my team, so you can trust us class. And what's more, it's not a textbook language. We just give you the basics that are really essential for your real life, for speaking like a native speaker, not just a learner, so you sound like a boring book. No, this is the real language. That's why we have many episodes from YouTube, many episodes from films and series. You can complete interactive tasks anywhere from any gadget. So if you had some doubts, I'm not sure if I have enough time, whatever, I need to sit at home and learn Russian, no. During your commute, when you go to bed, maybe when you wake up, if you have 5-10 minutes, you can just open the platform because it has the perfect interface for any gadget you can imagine, and just continue your journey step by step, because my philosophy is about the daily steps. You have daily portion of Russian every single day, and it helps you grow. You always get my written or audio feedback depending on the task, and also correction. Here you can see some examples that we are already added to the platform. And also once a month you join a meeting by the fire for extra speaking practice. This is a Zoom meeting where we meet up, where we get acquainted, where we practice everything that you have learned. And of course, if you have any questions and you didn't ask me them like via Telegram or another messenger, you can ask them online during this meeting. So you can be sure that you will have plenty of practice and you will not be alone. From lesson to lesson, you get bonuses that I also mentioned already that keep you motivated and inspired. For example, top 30 most popular verb list, or some mini lectures, or even some vlogs where you can learn just through watching and listening. My favorite type of vlog is the one that we filmed in a real supermarket, so you can know what things we buy. You can get some recommendations, especially if you're going to travel to Russia and you don't know what to buy, what to taste. So due to such comfy videos, you can get the vibe of the Russian language, not just read a boring textbook, whatever, and don't feel the real atmosphere of our culture. And also, throughout your journey, you create your own grammar book due to printable tables. They are included into all lessons that have grammar included. So you can save them or you can print them out. This is what I usually do. And just create your own book, or maybe stick it into your favorite notebook where you make your Russian notes. And again, all these things around, they keep us inspired, motivated. And this is important because, of course, during our learning process, we can have ups, we can have downs, and this is absolutely fine. You get my 100 support, and I'm here for you to help you finally learn the language and start speaking it. And now let's talk about things that can come to your mind even after watching this video and understanding all benefits of the course. So you can say, oh, I don't have time. But what I always say, structured lessons save time. You don't have time for searching for materials. You don't have time for random exercises or random reels that take you hours of your life every single day. But when you have a structured plan, when you have professional lessons, all you need is just to find 5, 10, 15 or 30 minutes per day. Take your favorite gadget and instead of binge watching Reels, TikTok, Shorts, whatever, just complete our lesson and get closer to your goal. Russian is too hard. This is what I read all the time in the comment sections or like on Reddit. People keep saying this, but come on, this is a stereotype. This is what people say when they never try to learn Russian the proper way. Chaos is hard, but structure is clear. I tried before. you never had the right system. This is my only answer, because as you can see, with interactive platform, with the course that was prepared for you, including all authentic and real-life materials, this is impossible not to start speaking Russian. If you'd love and if you're ready to start your Russian journey, please check out our bot, check out our site. You can just copy it and put into the search mark, or just open our bot, find on the menu the word site, check out our programs, because there are 3 tariffs. So it's up to you what tariff to choose. The most popular one is considered to be Pro, because it's like in the middle and you have online calls, so this is super cool. You can meet new friends and new people who have the same interests, and I'll be watching you. I'll be waiting for you. Thank you for watching, and hopefully see you in our Russian camp.